Your investment in aged care, and you spoke about skills, because there's this disconnect, isn't there? We've got the unemployment rate coming down, which is fantastic, but we've got these creaks in the budget and the economy where there are labour shortages. So how do you fill those jobs? We know the youth unemployment remains a big problem. How do you connect one to the other?
You spend more than $2 billion on training in this budget. You create another 170,000 apprentices. You remove the blockages that are preventing young people from getting into work with foundational skills training. You ensure you have programs for people to be trained in things like digital literacy and digital skills. You're training people in the care workforce.
You're going to boost the wages too, don't you?
Well, all of these things will be driven by a stronger economy at the end of the day, but the record funding we're putting into aged care, $17.7 billion. Over $3 billion we're putting into, into skills training and all these sorts of things right across the board. I mean, these are important investments to ensure that we can secure this recovery. Because at the end of the day, that's what this budget is about. What's the budget about? Securing the recovery, because the recovery we cannot take for granted. We cannot take where we've got to as a country over these last 18 months for granted. And, the only thing I'm fighting is the pandemic, to secure people's health and to secure their jobs.
Your mind's not turning to the election just yet, by the sounds of it.
No, I mean, because this pandemic is raging, and as Prime Minister,
you look at this and you could run to an election on this. There are no cuts in this.
People who focus on politics will do that. But as Prime Minister, I have to focus on the pandemic. And Australians out there, that's what they're focused on. They're worried about their jobs. They're worried about their health. They're worried about their family members who are struggling with mental health or struggling with putting their family into residential aged care. And what I have to do is give them confidence that there is a plan in their ears, because that plan is working. The plan is working. What we're doing in this country is working, and we have to keep doing it.
There's a paradox at the heart of the budget, though, isn't there? Because you've got this huge windfall from iron ore. China continues to hoover up our resources and is our best customer, yet we've got this tension, this geopolitical tension on the other side of things. Can you cool that down? Well, is that possible?
You're right to highlight that COVID is not the only challenge Australia faces. Not only that, natural disasters, and in this budget, as you know, there's a very big plan to support Australians deal with natural disasters and climate change and things like this. But importantly, we're living in a very uncertain region, and that's why we're investing in our intelligence, in our security, in our cyber security, in our defences, and all of these things.
What about diplomacy?
Well, we've invested heavily in that as well, and we will continue to be Australians, stand up for what we believe in, counter any sort of threats that might arise in our region. But what is our goal? Peace. What is our goal? Trade. What is our goal? Prosperity for our region and sovereignty for every single country that exists within our region. And at the end of the day, we'll always stand up for a liberal democratic principle. We'll always stand up for a world order that favours freedom.
Well, it's just an interesting, as I said, paradox is the word, because you've got your best customer, but also an increasing assertive rival.
Well, it's a complex and it's a challenging world. But what's also important, I think, to reflect on with that, Kieran, is that we have to maintain a strong economy to ensure that we can deal with these challenges. I mean, in this budget, aged care, mental health, support right across the board in services that Australians rely on every single day, the National Disability Insurance Scheme, all of that is only made possible if we can ensure that the economic recovery that we're pursuing and achieving as a nation is secured into the future.
Prime Minister, there's a commitment to an mRNA-funded facility. How far away would that be? I know there's some commercial and confidence negotiations, but are we talking within the year?
No, look, I think those sort of capabilities are very significant ones. I mean, a year ago, mRNA vaccines are being used as vaccines more broadly. It was almost seen as science fiction, and here we are a year later. And so in this budget, and mRNA vaccines, this won't just be important for COVID. This will be important for vaccines more generally, right across the spectrum. And so we will establish that capacity here in this country. We will do it as soon as we possibly can. We already, as a priority, put in place the vaccination capability manufacturing here in Australia that is ensuring that more than 10% of our eligible adult population is vaccinated right now. We're not relying on those overseas vaccines for AstraZeneca, and importantly, we'll be moving to ensure that Australia has a sovereign capability on mRNA vaccines, but a sovereign capability across a whole range of secure supply chains that is needed to drive our economy into the future.